Can you not tell that this is about not being able to control the guns? The police, they get there within less than a minute. The shooting happens within a half of a minute. The things that, can you imagine what could have happened if they had an extra half of another minute? How many more people would be dead? Did you notice? Did you notice that it was 9 people dead and 27 injured? Did you notice that when you type in Ned Peppers into the mysterious abracadabra, hocus pocus gematria book, that Putin comes up at the top, which is the connection to the next news story that the Mr. Mouthpiece Paul Begley is going to talk about with Putin? And did you also notice that when you type in Home Depot shootings, the next thing that's connected to Home Depot shootings at the very top of the list is Donald John Trump? You know, Donald, like John the Baptist type Trump, because he's playing the Messiah in the mainstream media. Steve's playing this Messiah underground social media. Trump's playing Messiah mainstream media. And Steve said before that his 7 spirits is like the first Adam, the last Elijah, Moses, John the Baptist, King David, and I'm probably missing something else. Oh, and Christ. So when you got Trump doing the same thing with his middle name being John, I don't believe anybody. Well, you know what? No. Let me take that back. At first, I believed these people, this ain't their name. These people, but then when they're picked from the beginning, when these children are born and they're the ones that the elite have picked to be a specific person, like Stephen James Deshaun. I've questioned before if that's even his real name, and then I think, well, no, yeah, it has to be, because they named him that. They knew that Deshaun, Stephen James, the name would line up to everything in that gematria book with the numbers that pertains to Christ and everything else. They knew that. So that's why his name is that. Or it's just a completely fictitious made-up name, and that's what they did. So when there's 9 people killed, and then it's 10 including the shooter, but they show you the numbers, 9. I see 926, but then I see 927. I'm looking at September 26th, and I am looking at September 27th. And remember September 26th and 27th. That has to be right around where the Donald John Trump incident happens, as the shootings of Home Depots happens, and then Trump is in the news just like Putin was in the news when they show you Ned Peppers. They showed it so obvious, the Ned Peppers, that it automatically, I'm like, I need to look that up in their book. Now, I don't believe the book, okay? It's not something I go by, but if you literally want to predict their next move with greater detail, then just go and punch in what's there and then see what's lining up next to it. And Ned Peppers, I think it also means pale horse. Yep, pale horse. And Putin. So then Putin's in the news with Mr. Mouthpiece Paul Begley, and that's who I go by, because he's the top mouthpiece. The top mouthpiece. So you go by what the top mouthpiece is telling you, and they're spreading information around that we're getting strikes. It's coming to an end. Social media, this platform the way it is, YouTube, Facebook, with all the liars out there, all the fake news, it's all coming to an end. Truth is going to start prevailing after this shutdown happens. Now, most people don't believe that. They believe that the world's going to end, like we're going to all die and the elite are going to kill us. Well, they don't need to kill you to get blood to drink. They don't. They already have blood banks. They already have volunteers. And the more shootings that they do, the more suckers there are that's going to be like, I want to give my blood to help these victims that don't exist. And then on top of that, they got donations to send. I mean, they get your money. They suck the blood out of a stone. They get everything that they want through these events that are, let's say, you do watch movies, right? How many movies are out there that have scenes of people getting blown away, shot, explosions, just everything? It's a scene from a movie is what they're showing you. Nobody is getting shot. Nobody is getting hurt unless if it's a stunt double. And that's a fact. So for the people that believe that it's real and the government's killing us, well, you're going to live in fear. I mean, that's all. The Bible tells you not to be afraid of their faces. Because their faces is an act. It's an act. God knew that they were going to write their scripts and fulfill the Bible exactly the way that they are. He already knew that. That's why he wrote it that way. That's why the elite are playing out everything that they can deceptively as it's a spiritual book that they're trying to mimic. And then what they didn't realize is once they start doing that, there's going to be 144 that's going to rise up and make themselves known who they are. Therefore, when the team of surveillance, the FBI, CIA, NSA, Stephen James Shawn, everybody that's in charge of surveilling you through your life and through your social media, when they're in charge of doing that, they can see who's telling the truth once you push the stop button as you're recording. Whatever your motive is on YouTube, they know what you're doing behind closed doors if you haven't known. You know what I mean? Click. You know what I'm saying? I have a feeling it's like he almost doesn't even know he's being watched. Like he just, like there's something just blocked. Like he doesn't realize that's what he is. That he's being watched by people and they just do like random acts and stuff. But it's all just coincidental. So all these shootings that's going to continue on, just like the churches, it's the same thing. It's a pattern. It's almost too damn easy to see, and I'm just wondering why people would even question it anymore as to the reality of it. But keep an eye out for September 27th. They're pointing to that date, and Home Depot's shootings lines up with Donald John Trump. He still needs to get shot or something. He still needs to play the same. Whatever happens to Steve underground is going to be very similar to what happens to Donald Trump up above ground. And they can't switch that script. That script has to be played out anyway. So when it does happen is when more people are going to start believing what I'm saying instead of kind of being on the fence like, maybe, or no, not at all. Because when you have the script writer who's written some scripts specifically just for me, and you got Trump playing the Messiah role, Steve playing the Messiah role, the similar things have to happen to both of them, which is some type of attempted assassination of some sort, somehow, some way, and then rising up 3 days later, being shut off from YouTube or something, rising up 3 days later. It'll be very similar to the dates will be similar. The days in between, the time span will be similar. And then they have to, like, for 40 days, they get this, like, all of a sudden God starts talking to them, like Kleck is trying to make it seem like, and then from that point on, they have 40 days of, their teachings of false doctrine, and then they send up to heaven, and then I think that's when the sun goes down for 3 days, and then after that, because they finally found the truth in the world, the history is going to be rewritten because they didn't expect 144 to rise up on YouTube. 144. Now the number 1,000 means complete. So I remember hearing something about take one man, one from each tribe of 12, and something or another. I forget where it's at, but it made me think like, wow, they really are talking about one person out of a tribe of 12, and then another one person, and then another, and then 144 people. I don't think it's 144,000. Now that I start thinking of it, it still can be, but I'm just leaning towards it. Literally is 144 people. It just is. So September 27th. Yep, September 27th, because October 21st will be the 8th year since we were warned about the end of the world by Harold Camping. And 21 days before that is right around September 30th. So 3 days before that is the 27th of September. You got your 9/11 coming up. You got your 8/11, which nothing literal is going to happen, but those two towers are going to start to come down. The YouTube towers are going to start coming down to communications, just like the USS Liberty that had the most trustworthy human beings on board. You know what? Did 14 people die on that? I got to relook at that. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the number 14 that died on that. When I click stop, I'm going to go look at that and see how many people actually died on the USS Liberty, because they were the most trustworthy men in the world. They were the intelligence agents